Galimera, good morning. Inside today for today's broadcast because it's just really hot. Just a quick note on yesterday. Yesterday I had never ever had such trouble as getting a podcast out and getting it online and streamed. I recorded the podcast yesterday morning, finished recording it by about 10 o'clock my time. I eventually got the stream up online by about 5:30 that night. It took all day, and it was just, for me, basically such a nose, a waste of my time and energies when I could have been doing other things, and I've had to let other things slip and slide, and it is just becoming so frustrating at the moment. I'm not the only person who's having difficulty either uploading or getting news out. A lot of people, independent news broadcasters, are deciding to leave YouTube, go onto other platforms because it is getting very difficult now to basically get our messages out to people other than what the mainstream media and their message that they want to put out. They seem to be able to act with impunity. You may have heard yesterday, and I think it's an absolute disgrace that Sky Australia have had their feeds taken from YouTube. The reason is, I think, because the Australian government now put troops on the streets there, and I think putting troops on the streets sends a really scary message to people about the situation and the way that their government is handling the situation. It is becoming very authoritarian, and when you look at their epidemiology, they've had some of the lowest rates, some of the lowest infection rates, etc. But it's very scary that Australia now, or the Australian government, has put their troops on the streets and also silenced Sky Australia. And I've got to be honest, when it came to covering COVID and it came to covering things like that, Sky Australia were doing a very good job. Very good questions being asked of politicians, and not just in Australia but just right across the board, America, the UK, etc. And they were very condescending about the way things were being handled in the UK. So I think having them silenced also doesn't smack good. Also other sites, again, Alex Belfield, again, I'm a big supporter of him. He's now looking to jump ship as well and come away and go somewhere more freer than the way that things are on YouTube. Also, Amani Tosh is another person that I follow great as well. He's also decided to move, and there's quite a lot of other independent podcasters as well. So again, that's my little message for this morning. I don't know how long it's going to get this out on the ground today, but it is becoming very frustrating and very annoying. I'm still banned from Facebook in getting my message out through there as well. And again, I just don't know. I really just do not know. And I do despair in some ways as the way I see things are progressing, especially for those people like myself who don't want the vaccine. I just feel more pressure is being leveled upon people to take the vaccine, to conform, to do as you're told, get in line with everybody else. And you do as we say, but not as we do, in a greater effect as well. And I tell you now, we are living in very frightening times. Right, other than that, that's my little bit of a rant over for this first thing this morning. This morning's weather obviously is really hot again this morning. We've got a heat wave on the way. Oh, heat wave is still going. Yesterday when I went to work, my bike showed 40. Even though I hadn't been out all day, and when I left work yesterday evening about 7:45, it was 40 Celsius on my bike thermometer. God knows what it had been like during the day. The Department of Civil Protection for Zakynthos, they've sent out messages for people to avoid fires. They are now making it illegal to go to certain parts of the island and to even walk about in those parts of the island because of the dangers of fire at the moment. They include Zakynthos, the sort of forestry areas around that location, also up and around the Bolymez area, certain forestry areas there. And again, they're also banning people from using anything that causes sparks. So if you're somebody who's got what you call it for cutting trees, like power saws or circular saws, soldering irons, welding machines. If you've got bees and you're using a smoking device for bees, you're effectively banned from using those within certain areas. Also any throwing of lighted cigarettes, etc. And also people have been reminded that it is prohibited to light any fires whatsoever during this season at the moment. You're only allowed to do fires in the later part of the year, obviously when the weather changes, but there are still people going out burning rubbish, burning stuff, and you are not allowed to do that. So that's been made very, very clear at the moment. Just a reminder as well, if there is a fire, the number you should call is 199 199 and immediately call the fire brigade. Can I say thank you to Steve Kimberley as well in Rhodes, who sent me a message who said, well, after 8 hours we now have power back. I'm glad to give you the fire warning on your broadcast. Been well over the 40s for a week now, dangerous weather conditions, keep up the good work, mate. So Steve is over there on the island of Rhodes, and in fact Rhodes actually figures in my news as well, and I'll come back to that in just a while. Arrivals today from the UK. Jane today, if everybody's wondering where she is, she's up at the shipwreck today, and I think she's guiding well over 240 odd people on her trip up to the shipwreck today. So she's been down there since the early hours at the port, getting everybody together up on coaches and getting them up to that part of the island. But today then, arrivals today from the UK. We've got a flight in, Ryanair flight in from London Stansted at 12:25. We've got a Birmingham flight with Jet2 due in at 12:55. We then got a Manchester flight with Jet2 as well. That's due in at, what time is that? At 1:10. Then there's another Manchester flight, this time again with TUI this time at 4:15. Then there is another EasyJet flight in tonight at 6 o'clock from, where's that? London Gatwick. And a second lot of flights as well. Then we have one Birmingham flight in as well. That's with TUI, and that's in at 5 to 8 tonight. So again, the Brits are coming, and I've got to be honest, last night in Magdalena's, another really good night. We were really busy. Thank you to, I think, I'm trying to remember the lady's name now. She posted up the Saturday night up onto the Facebook page of us enjoying ourselves, wishing her her friend in Northern Ireland a happy birthday, and again it was just a bit like old times, really. Absolutely awesome. So thank you for that. And again, I can't post anything like live streaming at night, and it's just so frustrating, so annoying, but anyway, thank you for doing that. Right, let's look at the infections for today within the last 24 hours. Those have gone down a bit. 1,605 new infections, down from the 2,760 on the previous day. We had 12 new cases identified in checks into the country, exactly the same number as on the day before. Going to the national stats about infections, Mykonos, which we've been watching closely because we're going to be led by whatever happens there as to what could happen here if things take a turn for the worst. Mykonos had 25 new infection cases. Rhodes had 36 new infection cases. Steve Kimberley still over there on Rhodes. Cases in Macardo, 10 new cases there. Corfu, 16 new cases. Kefalonia, only 5 new cases in Kefalonia, so that's good for them. Zakynthos, I'm afraid we've had 24 new cases within the last 24 hours. So effectively then, what we're saying for the month of August so far, we've had 24 cases here on Zakynthos. Last month, the end tallied score was 272 cases. So again, we are really under the microscope as to what is going to happen and if any measures are going to be put in place against us. praying no ban or curfew or the things that happened in Mykonos. As I explained yesterday, I'm not going to go into it again. I don't feel that that will happen. We're under observation. That is the next step that the government has, observation. So anyway, 24 cases so far here for August, and even though it's only the 2nd of August. When it comes to deaths, they have dropped actually from the previous report, 17 previously. Latest, 10 new deaths. That brings the death toll up to 12,975, slowly creeping towards 13,000 deaths. 96% of those people had underlying health problems or were over the ages of 70. And once again, our condolences to families that have been affected in that. Now, again, death toll on Zakynthos. We had no deaths in July. We had no deaths in June. Our last deaths we had on the island through coronavirus was in May, and we had 3 deaths then. So hopefully August is going to stay the same, fingers crossed. Anyway, when it comes to critical cases in hospital, that is up again, just slightly. We had 172 cases reported yesterday. Today, it's 176 new cases. 113 of those are male, 63 of those are female. And again, the average age of those people, 67 years of age, 83% of that have underlying health issues or are over the ages of 70. Right then, today's news, again going back to Rhodes, a massive fire broke out there in Rhodes. The blaze has left a great portion of the island in devastation and also without power. Fire threats came to the famed Valley of the Butterflies, which I don't know about the famed Valley of the Butterflies. Also a military base there at Kalamona, that was also affected. The villages of Pithos had to be evacuated as well. Now, firefighters on the scene warned residents of the nearby villages and settlements to evacuate, as well as the fire was quickly gaining ground and was spreading rather quickly last night. Now, due to the force of the fire, much of Rhodes has been left without electricity in some areas. Cell phone services have also been disrupted. Some residents on the island also reported they didn't even have any running water, and that's because obviously they needed the electric pumps obviously to pump the water, and they'd obviously got taken out. Anyway, firefighters there have been working since Sunday afternoon to stop the spread of the fire on Rhodes. A total of 2 special planes, 3 helicopters had been sent to the island, obviously to drop water from above. Again, it sounds like that is still ongoing at the moment, and I once again hope that you are okay over there, Steve, in Rhodes as well. Interesting story yesterday. The Crystal Stoppy border guard put an end an escape attempt of an Albanian man. He was caught because an arrest warrant that was actually issued in Zakynthos by the misdemeanors investigator was pending against him. Now, he had actually been accused of rape, and he'd been accused of rape from 2016 to 2020, and basically he'd disappeared and gone on the run. Anyway, the 44-year-old has been taken to the prosecutor of the first instance in Catastoria, who've ordered him to be transferred across to Zakynthos to face justice here. Now, the same police officers, in collaboration with their colleagues from the Kristalopi Passport Control Department, also prevented the escape of an Albanian, a 23-year-old foreigner, against whom a European arrest warrant was pending from the German authorities for burglary. Anyway, that young Albanian was referred to the prosecutor of the Court of Appeals for Western Macedonia and is expected to be extradited to Germany. So again, the border guards are very, very busy at the moment trying to catch people and implement things. Also here in Zakynthos, again, and in the area of the the Ionian, that's the word I'm looking for. Police implementation measures, they've been revealed. It seems that from the 29th of July to the 1st of August, the police have been out and about, checking the bars, checking the restaurants in the Ionian. Now, in Corfu, a fine of €5,000 was awarded to a foreigner for violating a measure of house arrest or quarantine. So basically somebody, a foreigner, had tested positive, were told to go to their home, stay in their home, and obviously they'd been seen out and about, and obviously they got caught by the police, and a €5,000 was imposed on them for breaking the quarantine. There are also 2 violations of €300 to owners of bars. This is in Corfu, again for not posting the maximum number of people allowed. Now there should be a number at your door as to how many people they're allowed into your venue, and if you don't do that, then obviously you're breaking the rules and you can obviously be fined for that. Also in Corfu, they said there were 17 violations for not using masks by employees and customers of stores, in which a fine of €300 is provided. Don't forget that if you go into a shop, supermarket or anything else like that, you are still expected to wear a mask. As a tourist, you go in somewhere, and if you don't wear a mask and you get caught by the police or whatever, that's a €300 fine. So please be aware of that. And obviously employees, they're all expected again to be wearing masks while at work, and if they're not, again there's a danger of a €300 fine being levied there. Now in Macardo there were 8 violations for not using masks by employees and customers in stores, and again there was fines imposed there. Luckily in Zakynthos there was 1 violation for not using a mask by an employee in a store, and that person was then fined €300. Now the police have said that these inspections are going to continue through the summer season, and won't betide anybody who gets caught out. That's the basic message from them. Right, very serious issue now. Greece has strongly denied involvement in an incident where a Turkish civilian was allegedly killed inside Turkish territory by shots fired from within Greece. Now probably a lot of people don't realise, obviously Greece and Turkey, there is the border in the north between the 2 countries. It's a bit of a tension area, or can be a bit of a tension area, and it's one of those places that the Greek military really enforce that whole frontier. Don't forget you get also people coming over that border as well, trying to flee from Turkey, coming into Greece. Obviously a lot of people come through that route as well to try and get into the country. But anyway, yesterday it seems shots were supposedly fired from within Greece into Turkish area, and somebody was reportedly killed by these shots. Now they've said at the moment there has been no official announcement from Turkey, but Turkish media reported that the Greek Charge d'Affaires was summoned to the foreign ministry. The media said that the summons was linked to the shots fired from Greece towards the Erdkin outskirts, which apparently killed a Turkish civilian on Saturday night. Now the Ministry of Foreign Affairs released the following statement. The Greek Charge d'Affaires in Ankara, following the relevant instructions, responding to an emergency call by which she was summoned earlier today at the Turkish Foreign Ministry, rejected its entirety the Turkish allegations regarding the alleged incident in Evros. She pointed out that the Turkish side, its obligations to guard its borders and do not allow the activity of traffickers and illegal migration. Anyway, the Greek police also released its own statement about the situation. It said regarding Turkish media publications and reproduced on websites, it announced that there was no involvement of Greek forces in the alleged incident in Evros. So that's the news for today. Once again, just to remind you, at the moment the weather is getting really hot. It's imperative now. One, make sure you look after yourselves, hydrate yourself. That doesn't mean drinking copious amounts of beer. It's about balance, all right, if you're on holiday here. And also just be very careful with your cigarette ends, your cigarette butts. If you're going to have a barbecue or anything else like that, just be very, very careful. And be aware that there are certain areas around the island at the moment, around Volimes, around Vasilikos, where you are effectively not allowed to wander in those wooded areas because of the fire risk that's in place at the moment. Now, if you do happen to be in any of those areas, there should be police signs and warnings. basically just to stay out. You can actually be arrested or charged with being in those areas as well, because obviously you could be seen as an inadvertent danger. All right, so please take it very seriously. Stay on the beaten path. Don't go wandering off it, because again, you might put yourself in jeopardy and put yourself at risk. Once again, thanks for all the support. Thank you for the messages. I'm going to really make this a short broadcast today because I want to see how long it takes me to get this out. I had looked at trying to stream using YouTube, but I think that is going to cause me more issues trying to stream using YouTube at the moment as well. And again, yesterday, I was sending messages after a survey was sent to me about Facebook about whether I was happy with the service, and of course I said no, I'm not, because I'm effectively being banned from live streaming. I've been given no reason why I've been banned from live streaming. So yes, I'm very dissatisfied with your service. So it'll be interesting to see what their reply will be to that. Right, that's it from me. I shall now go and see if I can get this podcast up online. And once again, I'll speak to you again soon. Ta-ra!